I am Kimball Sokas. I am the facilitator for this session. I'm also the student representative to the REA board. This is a single paper session with a group of collaborators for the paper. We will go through the presentation, and as I mentioned, if we have time at the end, we will invite a few questions. So that said, let me introduce my colleague, Dr. Vahidin Simsek, who is an educator and an academic specializing in religious education. He has many lovely things that have happened in his life, and most recently has been contributing to the field as a member of his ministry's Central Exam Committee, is currently serving as editor for various academic journals, and works as assistant professor in the Faculty of Islamic Sciences within Kirkala University. Dr. Zumsek, take it away.
Kimball, thank you so much. I would like to greet all the participants here. Greetings from Turkey. And I would like to thank all members of the REA, also organizers, also staffs and technical management. Today we will introduce, or we will present our project title, Transformative Teacher Profile as a Vocational Course Teachers of Imam Hatip High School. It is so popular school type in Turkey, and it is so common in Turkey as a religious education schools within framework of Turkey's Century of Marif model. As researchers in this field in religious education, we designed a project called Transformative Teacher Profile as Vocational Course Teachers of Innovative Schools. With this project, we want to build our existing knowledge and contribute to our teachers, students, and future generations. This research is an outcome of this project. Professor Yıldız Kızıl Abdullah will present our paper after me. But today we are here all project manager, project coordinator. One of them is Dr. Ahmet İşleyen. He is the Director of General Religious Education in Turkish Ministry of National Education. Here, Dr. Ahmet İşleyen, you would like to say hello? Can you hear us? Okay.
Yes. Hello, herkese merhaba.
Okay. Another project coordinator or project manager, Professor Cemal Tosun, is a professor of religious education and serves the head of the Department of Religious Education at Ankara University. It is the foundation's Department of Religious Education in Turkey. It is a specific vision, and also it is historical roots of religious education in Turkey. Professor Cemal Tosun, it's your...
Hello, dear participants. I welcome you all to our session.
Another project coordinator and project manager is Professor Yıldız Kızıl Abdullah. She is also professor of religious education, also at the same faculty of Ankara University. She has published works on religious education models in the United States, Montessori methods. Also, she is the member of worldwide sharing worldwide Erasmus Plus project. I can see
Hello.
you. Yes.
Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone.
Another one is Associate Professor Fatma Çapçıoğlu. She is also graduate from Ankara University. She also works in Ankara University Faculty of Theology or Divinity Faculty. She studied on the religious education history, especially discussing on religious education in the late Ottoman period. Dr. Fatma Çapçıoğlu here.
Good evening, everyone. Hi.
Hi.
It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Thank you so much. And the last project manager is Lokman Yıldırım. He works in the director of General Religious Education Ministry of National Religious Education in Turkey. He works in monitoring and evaluation department also. He currently pursuing graduate studies, conducting academic research on education, religious education, also digital transform. Dr. Lokman Yıldırım is here. Yes, I can
Hello,
see you.
everyone.
This is our project team. So we worked together and we have many meetings in Turkey, in different parts of Turkey. We had 12 meetings in religious education, academic, and also vocational schools teachers in Turkey. Today, we will present our project outcomes. Professor Yıldız Kızıl Abdullah will present. I will show our presentation. It's your turn, Professor Yıldız Kızıl Abdullah. I will share my screen again. It's your voice.
Okay. Thank you so much, dear Vahdettin. So first of all, on behalf of my colleagues, I would like to welcome you all to our presentation. And I would like to convey our sincere thanks to all the committees who are involved in this meetings. So Vahdettin, would you share the screen, please?
Can you see
Yes.
my screen?
Yes,
Okay.
I do. Thank you. So as you see on the screen, the title of our presentation is Theory Practice Alignment in Education as a Systematic Model Proposal, because this study examines the transformation of in-service teacher training in Turkey's Imam Hatip high schools through the project that Vahdettin mentioned. So in this case, I will divide our presentation into three main sections. First, I will provide some historical context regarding the development of Imam Hatip high schools. Second, I will explain the methodology of the project and our data collection process. And the third, I will share the final results and insights of the project about the model we adopted in teacher training. So can you pass the, yes, thank you. So I would like to start with a fundamental question, which is how did Imam Hatip School develop historically and what makes them unique? Why did we research on them? Because it is important for our project. So Imam Hatip high schools are publicly funded secondary schools originally established in 1924 under the Law of Unification of Education, original name is Tevhid-i Tedrisat. So with the declaration of the Republic in 1923, there were some reforms in Turkey, particularly in education, in the educational sphere. Under this unification law, traditional madrasas were closed and Imam Hatip schools and divinity faculties were founded in their place. So while the government founded 29 schools in 1924, it has grown significantly, and as of 2026, there are 1,730 Imam Hatip high schools across the country. So what sets these schools apart? What makes them unique? Imam Hatip high schools are public schools operating under the Ministry of National Education's Directorate General for Religious Education. Their unique curriculum pairs a standard academic program like Turkish, math, science, social science, and etc., alongside vocational religious courses such as tafsir, hadith, kalam, fiqh, and Arabic. So the vocational course teachers, they were participants of our project, are graduates of faculties of theology and Islamic sciences, where they receive both subject matter expertise and pedagogical training, the exact same standard required for all Turkish teaching branches. They appointed by the ministry as civil employees. They operate entirely within the state education system. So this brings us to the second section of our presentation, focusing on our project and data collection process, which we conducted in collaboration with Directorate General for Religious Education. In-service education is conducted within the scope of the Marif model, and these trainings are generally aimed at developing teacher competencies, increasing their motivation, enhancing AI skills, and improving personal competencies. Allow me to briefly outline the Marif model. Following its adaptation by the Ministry of National Education in 2024, the Turkey-centric education model has reconfigured the country's entire educational framework and curriculum. It implements a skill-based approach designed to cultivate essential 21st century competencies. So what we did in this project, launched under the motto Learning Together from Each Other, this project aims to bridge the gap between academic theory and classroom practice in Imam Hatip high schools. So this project officially commenced on February 4th, 2025, within an opening address by the Minister of National Education, Professor Yusuf Tekin. For this inaugural meeting, at least one scholar from each university, one religious education scholar from each university in Turkey was invited to be introduced to the project and its methodology. Following the launch, on February 5th, 2025, we held a strategic alignment meeting with the Ministry of National Education coordinators across the country who are actively involved in the project. So let me give you some details about the project, how we conducted the intensive workshops. So they were between April and December 2025, and we held across 6 major hubs: Istanbul, Ankara, Sivas, Bursa, Konya, and Adana. Actually, when we applied to this conference, we had completed half of the project and reached 6 regions. However, as of last month, we have reached the entire sample that will represent Turkey, including 12 regions and neighboring provinces. This means the participation of more than 800 teachers and around 150 academics. It also means there are 450 teachers who have provided feedback across the entire project. Each regional meeting integrated 3 distinct pillars: station workshops, academic feedback presentations, and specialized AI and digital training session. So for the collaborative segments, we adopted the learning techniques, the learning station technique. As you know, the learning station technique involves different tables and groups, with each group engaged in a distinct task. Subsequently, the group rotates to contribute to the activities at all tables. In this study, the participants were similarly divided into groups and engaged in discussions and exchanges of ideas on designated topics across all tables. At each station, teachers actively discussed field-based challenges and co-created solutions regarding various educational topics in Imam Hatip high schools. This setup fostered self-assessment and deep self-reflection within a completely open, democratic atmosphere, directly achieving our project's core objective of aligning theory with classroom practice. In these stations, the role of us academics was not to lecture, but rather to facilitate a democratic space, guide the dialogue, and scaffold the teacher's self-reflection. So following the workshops, we as project coordinators and executors provided comprehensive feedback presentation on the specific topics discussed at each station, alongside delivering targeted digital literacy training and AI education. So when we come to the methodology and the data collection, as you can see on the screen, we actually adopt the qualitative phenomenological approach, and this allowed us to focus deeply on the essence of teachers' lived experiences, exploring both how the project was experienced and what meanings the participants attributed to it. So our study group consisted of 246 Imam Hatip High School's vocational course teachers from our 6 hub cities and their neighboring provinces, selected via purposive sampling. For our data collection instruments, we used open-ended Google form feedback and post-workshop email correspondence sent directly to us. We then apply systematic content analysis to analyze the data, and then moving from systematic codes to categories, and finally overarching themes. As you see on the screen, we had 3 main themes: expectations, unspoken words, and metaphorical perceptions. So let me give you some details about the participant demographics. As I mentioned before, we had 246 teachers. 54% were female and 45% were male, and remarkably, 65% of these teachers declared that they had never previously participated in such collaborative learning environment. And when we asked to rate the overall value of the experience, the workshops achieved an average efficacy score of 8.67 out of 10, confirming that the program significantly exceeded participants' expectations. So there were some expectations. I will start with the expectations. There was a profound sub-theme of feeling valued, as you see on the screen, that I would like to mention. Participants noted that simply being heard was a transformative experience, and feeling that I was being listened to effectively was indeed a sign that the seeds of transforming something were being sown. So still, there were some small minority offered constructive criticism in this case, and they were noting that the sessions were occasionally problem-focused rather than solution-oriented or contained insufficient theoretical content. So, but still, in this case, we had our second major theme captured multidimensional impact of the workshop on the teachers themselves, which we categorized in 4 areas: satisfaction and motivation, networking and sharing, awareness and transformation, concern regarding implementation. So it was their cognitive, emotional, and social perspective. In this case, satisfaction and motivation, one of the participants shared, it was a highly productive, beneficial event. Some said hearing the ideas of teachers, colleagues from other districts was eye-opening. And about awareness and transformation, some said, I found the opportunity to create awareness for myself. I'm excited to carry this forward as a transformative teacher. So there were some concern also regarding implementation. A small group expressed concerns regarding how what was discussed could actually be implemented. In this case, following this question, we wonder if they could tell what they want to, what the teachers couldn't say. This theme highlights how teachers express themselves throughout these stations and reveals whether they felt there was anything left unsaid. In this case, some themes: process and freedom of expressions. Teachers deeply appreciated the democratic atmosphere, and there were some constructive suggestions. They wanted more time, recommended including school principals, students, and parents. in future iterations and called for an expanded AI and digital content curriculum. And there were some burnout and systemic concerns too in this theme. One of them stated that the teacher is put on the table and beaten. Among educational components, the teacher is still the most innocent one. Furthermore, a small layer of distrust emerged with participants saying it creates an impression of we gathered and dispersed. But a fascinating data point was that 22 of the participants explicitly stated that they had nothing left to say. So, and the metaphorical perception, finally, we asked participants to summarize this project just with one word. And in one word, it was productive and beneficial, consultation and dialogue, transformation and change, digital and AI realities, hope, and hope, the last metaphorical one. And I want to say this. One of the participants said, hopefully, this will be an education where our voice is heard. And as a new paradigm, our findings prove a fundamental shift, a successful departure from top-down lecture-based training toward a highly participatory transformative model. This approach successfully positions the teacher not as a passive recipient, but as an active co-constructor of education knowledge. Beyond simply building pedagogical competencies, we have learned that teachers' emotional needs, systemic anxieties, and professional dignity must be addressed holistically. And ultimately, the shift from traditional in-service training to an educational model built on learning together and transforming together is absolutely critical. So, the program achieved remarkably high satisfaction. It is 8.67, fostered deep participant engagement, and successfully rebuilt professional motivation among our educators. As researcher, we draw a critical policy implication from this. Participatory methods alone are insufficient. To prevent a sense of disillusionment, teachers need to see visible feedback mechanism proving that their voices genuinely shape concrete educational policy. So, most importantly, teachers' insight must be transparently reflected in concrete educational policies. Their voices must not be left behind in workshop discussions room, but rather used as the structural foundation for the Türkiye-centric Marif model. And thank you very much for your time and attention. I would be happy to open the floor to any question you may have. Thank you. Kimball, maybe you can lead the question session.
Absolutely. Friends and colleagues, please place a question in the chat or raise your hand if you've got a question. We have 5.5 minutes together. Thank you so much for
I'm
your
on time. I
speed.
guess I'm on time. Yes, okay. Thank you. So we can have one or two questions if you like.
Yes. I'm looking. Dr. Nolan sends her congratulations.
Yeah, I can see that. Mm-hmm.
Since it's taking a bit for people to collect their thoughts and questions, feel free. Oh, here we go. Dr. Falcone has a question. Are the methods and values of your work at all part of the training teachers already receive during their graduate work?
I'm not sure I understand correctly, but this is an in-service teacher training program, so it's not a graduate work. So we want them to transform their ability according to new model we adopted in education in whole country. So it is a different model in teacher training in-service education. So I'm not sure I respond correctly, but
John, did you want to
Yeah,
refine?
okay.
yeah. So like
So actually,
go ahead.
Actually, we came up with this idea because we had a prior example of this methodology earlier, and our colleagues, our teachers, our students from practice who work as a teachers, they told us that ministry have in-service education, but it is like a monologue. We sit and we get lectured and we listen to them, and we wanted to listen to practice because the idea was bridging the gap between theory and the practice. We didn't know what they had and what they face in the practice, and then we want to see the real life environment, real practice environment, and we try to understand how can we help them in theory. That's why we came up with this idea.
Right. So I just to say, like their training in the religious academies and their in-service training really does not include any of that kind of reflection on practice, working together. Like
Yeah.
that's what you're saying.
Yeah, actually, it is mostly like a monologue instead of dialogue because it's like from top to down education. We try to shift this paradigm as learning together and learning in a collaboration, hearing the voices we have and hearing the practice, because actually it was a motivation for us too as academics, because we didn't know what they face in the real life, in the real practice. So it was a life change moment for us too.
If I may, let's jump to Carrie Patterson's question, which is, how did you train and prepare the listeners for this listening in practice experience?
Yeah, each session starts with the opening ceremony. So in the opening part, we actually explained our methodology to them. And we divide them in 3 sections, and we said what they will follow. We give them instructions, and they already knew what we expect from them, because we give them questions and we said, we don't want you to complain about the questions. We want you to reflect your ideology, your problems, and your solutions too, not just talking about problems and leaving. So we give them instructions earlier, before the stations, in an opening ceremony, and then when we get together, they already knew what to do.
Professor Kızılaplar, let me add
Yes.
something
Yes,
about
sure.
about something. We will send them paper about what we are discussing in this station. What are we topics? So the participants will know that what we're talking about before a week ago. What we're talking about that.
Yeah, and
topic.
yeah, Vahdettin, thank you for reminding. Actually, before each session, we sent them the form that how we want them to come, because they would come prepare earlier, and then in the opening session we explain the rules and the principles of the stations.
We have another question, Yıldız Hocam.
We happen to be at time, so thank you, Dr. Nolan. I really appreciate you letting
I'm sorry, but
yep.
yeah, times is out. Yeah.
Yep, we are right at noon. Please check the announcements board that are on that's on the Padlet. New things happen there all the time. And thanks again to our group for this excellent paper and those who managed this presentation in such a brisk amount of time. So
Thank you
thanks
so
again
much.
for everyone who has
Thank you.
attended.
Thank you for your attention. Thanks.